Disney.
Hey, Disney gave us the Lion King, Toy Story franchise, and Pirates of the Caribbean. Then again, they also gave us Rise of Skywalker, Cars 2, and too many live-action remakes. You know what? I'm just gonna move on.
Creating an entire ass previously on because you took too long to make a second movie deserves a punishment.
It's barely a previously on, since all they do is just recap the ending of the first movie with capturing Mayor Bellwether. Besides, you forget things all the time, so this is definitely needed.
I framed Lionheart. I can frame you too.
Premature using past success as an indication of future performance aberration.
What's your problem with premature celebration anyway? Or are you just pointing things out on the screen the same way you point out Comcast?
For the 100th anniversary of the invention of Zootopia's weather walls.
Words cannot express how much news position is in this movie.
Most of that news position is in the beginning though, so I'm not sure it's as much as you're implying.
That allowed all environments and all animals to coexist in one city.
Leaving out how aggressively segregated this city must be.
We're talking about animals that require various different living environments, food sources, etc. It's not like they still can't get along and cross over if they want to. Not to mention both these films already cover speciesism that would have happened because of segregation. So sit down there, Twitter. And no, I'm not calling it X.
Foxes sleep somewhere between 9 to 11 hours a day, so I'm not sure how a 60-minute timer is performing its duty as an alarm clock.
Jeremy, if you still can't comprehend anthropomorphic animals aren't the same as regular animals, then for the love of the great mouse in the sky, don't watch BoJack Horseman, because your aneurysm would have a brain trying to comprehend the logic of cartoons into a particular court worker, not our reality. Also, alarm clocks tend to work hourly, not by minute, when an alarm is set to wake someone up.
No one ever solves the crime that is this chart. All it tells us is the
Skip!
Hops and Wild, I know you're eager to prove yourselves, but as rookies...
I understand why Nick is a rookie, but why the f*** is Judy being held back? She was a rookie in the first movie, so how is she still a rookie if Nick is now out of the academy and reporting for duty?
Police officers are considered rookies for at least 1 to 2 years, and this movie only takes place a few weeks after the last film.
And watch the veteran teams show you how it...
Going through an entire briefing and not realizing that the 2 chairs directly in front of you are vacant.
Did Jeremy not paying attention CinemaSins just criticize a character for not paying attention?
You serious?
Are you sure this will work?
You're the one that said we needed a bust.
But why do they need a bust? We just had a 2-minute summary of how your last bust uncovered a conspiracy at the highest level of Zootopian government and saved the entire city. I'd be riding that wave for at least a week and potentially the rest of my life.
Didn't you just cover the scene where Bogo called them both rookies? Despite exposing Bellwether, Judy and Nick are still rookies in the police academy, and Chief Bogo wants them to watch other cops do missions to see how it's done. On top of that, this mission we're about to see gets out of control and gets them both into trouble, which explains why they need a bust.
Get out of the road, you dumb bunny!
Chekhoving this hot rod a couple minutes ago to justify its existence here now will get you 2 sins for excessive force.
What? You're sinning a movie for establishing something for our protagonist to use too much? What kind of a sin is this? The fact that I'm doing this video immediately after the first film's video, which was only 10 minutes long, should demonstrate to you why those older videos were better, because even though they were flawed, at least they were short and didn't include bullcrap like this to pad a 23-minute video.
My hog rod! This is a snout rage!
But only half as snoutrageous as these lines not being delivered by the voice of John Hamm.
Misspelling John Hamm. There's no H in his first name.
Beautiful!
I'll have what he's having.
They all somehow survive a wool explosion that was powerful enough to shear the wool right off this sheep.
It's an animated movie that's not realistic, but whatever.
Rolling spikes!
The sharpest ends of these spikes are now embedded in that mat instead of pointing up. I'm not saying it wouldn't work, just saying it's a terrible design that requires an officer to tuck and roll into the road.
But if you acknowledge that the least sharpest ends of those spikes would still work, then what was the point of this sin? Also, I don't think they'd have to worry about tucking and rolling into the road. Have you ever heard of this little known thing called look both ways before crossing? My parents taught me that at a super young age.
The hippos have been forced to stand here for comic effect instead of seeking immediate medical attention.
So this fool recognizes this was done for a joke and he still doesn't get it? Also, he's showing us that he graduated from the redundancy school of being redundant.
We had to call in Jumbo Unit to remove a dick from a tuba!
Jesus, this is a kid's movie.
No, it's not. It's a family movie. I've told you this before, but just because some movies are animated, it doesn't mean it's for kids. And besides, we're talking about a movie that made over $1 billion. You think children bought all those tickets? Also, Jeremy thinks boner.
Not every case is going to save the world.
A good lesson for all to learn. Unfortunate that it's being delivered while she is holding her second case file that will save the world.
Yeah, so?
Is there a reason why you don't take anything seriously?
Jokes are a classic defense mechanism for someone with a traumatic childhood.
Nick would be a fantastic fox at Therapy Sins.
That makes it sound like you're sinning therapy, which is ironic since you have a better help ad at the beginning of your video. Anyway, Nick was right here according to a large subset of people, so he wouldn't fit in at CinemaSins, and I deem this sin overruled.
This headline says that the missing mammals were found thanks to rookie cops. However, there was only one rookie cop because Nick had not joined the force yet. More importantly, the Daily Anus?
No. Also, I'm sure they were just simplifying it so it could fit better on a newspaper, and then elaborate that Nick wasn't a cop yet underneath it. Do you have any idea how clickbait works?
Zootopia franchise continues to guess my safe words.
I'm honestly impressed that you remembered this joke from the last video, which is 10 years old now, but I'm not impressed enough to not be disgusted by this.
Even in a world filled with talking animals, living in a city climate controlled by giant walls, I will not believe that overhead projectors have advanced far enough for any of this slide to be readable in a room this bright.
I feel like the problem with this sin speaks for itself, wouldn't you say?
Whatever chemical reaction is happening inside this can that results in this explosive outburst cannot be fit for bunnies, foxes, or otherwise organic beings.
Jeremy has never opened a soda can after shaking it. I mean, it's exaggerated to be fair, but it's also in an animated movie about talking animals that live in a society together harmoniously. In other words, just go with it.
Hey, what does the fox say? You suck!
Doing what does the fox say jokes in the year of our Lord 2025.
Coming from the guy who still gets upset at Captain America Civil War for not having stakes despite that movie being 10 years old now, that's pretty rich.
That dick stuck in that tuba.
Oh, him and the dick.
Maybe try to find that dick.
The sophomoric miles of humor this movie will try to get out of sticking its dick in a brass instrument. This would be like me tromboning you over and over again without ever emptying the spit valve.
Everything wrong with Zootopia too. A waste of our time.
Hulu Zoo feels like the result of something being focus grouped to hell and back.
Sending this awesome image with all these puns. Also skip.
Where the Linksley Journal will be on display for the first time in a century, following an infamous reptile attack.
Convenient news position sets our protagonist on the right bunny trail cliche.
Jeremy narrates what's happening on screen and then calls it a cliche. Now you know what I was talking about when I said CinemaSins overuses cliches.
Who's this joke for? Normal kids won't get it, and normal adults won't get it either. I'm probably the target audience, but my boosh is not a moose.
Why make a big deal out of this? It's a background detail that most people won't notice. That's like sending Pixar for their Easter eggs. Oh. Wait.
This link is on the very first page of Zoogle, and yet it was posted 9 years ago and has somehow only had one view before Judy visited it.
I think that's trying to say that because this came off like a dumb conspiracy theory, that no one decided to click it because they didn't take it seriously. And the fact that it's on the first page of Zoogle seems to imply no one cares about this topic enough to make too many videos or articles about it.
Chief Beef will split us up.
And if we don't get a win soon and prove we're great partners, the chief will split us up anyway.
He said no such thing. The chief said he would split you up if you failed your partner therapy, proving movies will literally invent plot points rather than go to therapy.
Given that Chief Beef said earlier that some animals are questioning whether Hops and Wild should have even been partners in the first place.
I allowed you to work together because you did this city a great service. But today, you messed it all up. And now, some are questioning whether you should have been partners in the first place.
He could very well just split them up anyway to keep the peace. But anyway, this is just Judy's assumption as she is worried here. It does not mean she is right.
Mr. Linksley, when will you begin the Tundra Town expansion?
Paparazzi's position.
First you send news position and now paparazzi's position. Seriously, you sending exposition has become a cliche in and of itself because you've sent it so many times that it's lost all meaning.
Why would a snake want to steal some old book? Anyway.
Reading?
No.
That was my joke.
Character cuts earbud-based communication, not because it makes sense, but because the story needed radio silence to concentrate on drumming up some unearned tension.
Hey, hearing something on a radio that's in your ear can be distracting, and she's trying to concentrate on her mission. Nick was just being pedantic and not taking the mission seriously. You know, like you with movies.
The Snake's entire plan appears to have been drop from chandelier, reveal self, hope everyone runs, steal precious journal. Being exposed by the light seems to have merely accelerated what was already a fucking ridiculous plan.
I'm pretty sure Gary's plan was to steal the journal in secret, but when Nick exposed him, he just said screw it and revealed himself. And he didn't hope that they'd run away. He knows they're already scared of snakes anyway, especially because they haven't been seen in Zootopia for 100 years.
Somebody spilled a bunch of Raiders of the Lost Ark into a scene from Rush Hour, animated it, changed everyone to animals, and added a will they or won't they storyline for Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan.
Wouldn't Temple of Doom have made more sense to mention than Raiders? Also arbitrary movie references.
I knew it!
Hey, remember how much you love Ratatouille? Do you remember?
Says the guy who just made 2 arbitrary movie references in the literal last sin.
Snakes never hurt anyone. We aren't the bad guys.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need to be a bad snake or person to hurt someone.
I get the sentiment, but it's irrelevant. Gary is simply saying that snakes aren't evil, which makes sense to mention since a snake was even framed for killing someone.
Also, telling kids not to at least be cautious around pit vipers is a wild choice.
Oh, really? You're seriously saying that children won't realize that this is a movie and isn't portraying reality?
And you two will file a report that he attacked us. And you will keep your mouths shut.
I'm not sure why the Linksleys think they need to go this hard right out of the gate. The snake did attack them. This is exactly the report they would have filed, but this sudden threat of violence makes you look more suspicious than Tom with a Tweety Bird-sized bulge in his cheek.
Are you forgetting that Gary told Judy the truth that the Linksleys are the bad guys instead of the snakes? And he also mentioned the journal could help his family come home? And Milton saw that Judy genuinely believed him? Judy wouldn't have filed that report after that, so Milton is making sure she does.
Hops! What did you do?
No, Hops and Wild will have to go on the run to solve the case and prove their innocence. It will approach fun occasionally. However, it will never be pointed out that the most Zootopian thing that could have happened would be the police conducting a proper investigation. The true villains of this story are ignorance, bigotry, and animal racism. They're never defeated, and the next generations will be dumber for it. But it made 1.8 billion worldwide, so I guess I'm the asshole.
We live in a world where ignorance, bigotry, and racism still exist even after years of progress. So how do you suggest this movie defeat those villains? If anything, I'd say this movie calls out these issues so people who watch it can be aware of these things and do something about it in their daily lives themselves. And aren't these great lessons to teach the next generation?
Did I choose the wrong mayor?
Not having a female mayor to capitalize on some hot mayor-on-mayor wordplay.
If that means Patrick Warburton isn't in this movie, then I'd have to respectfully disagree.
Well, what does that have to do with it?
No. He's got a point.
Listen, I'll put my love of cheese up against any mouse alive, but I'm still not decorating my f***ing couch with it.
We are truth, not mice, you idiot. What are you, a species list? Also, you've already crossed me and my family before. Don't go retreading those footsteps again, or I'll have you iced this time.
Anyways, you're in trouble, so we're here to help.
Deus Ex Mafia!
That's it. You're getting iced for sure.
Wait, fine. So get your chance. Just wait until we're done with the video.
Alright, fine. Could you at least give him a few extra cents for old time's sake? Please?
Sure, no problem, sir.
Thank you.
You just need a reptile expert. Lucky for you, I met someone.
More like convenient for the plot, I met someone.
And if there were coincidences, then we wouldn't have a movie, right?
Oh, you called the right beaver.
My college girlfriend's voicemail greeting somehow makes its way into the script.
The same guy who sinned this movie for making a What Does the Fox Say joke in 2025 is still making college girlfriend jokes in 2026.
Vetoing the beeve.
Being a stronger man than I.
Have there been any issues between you and Mrs. Sins? You can tell us. We won't judge you. Well, not to your face directly.
This fish chipper is going to be problematic when they introduce the talking fish in Zootopia 5.
And as I explained in the last video, fish aren't sapient in this universe. And even if they were, wouldn't this be a sin for Zootopia 5?
The animator made sure these hungry hippos ate apples so we'd know they're assholes.
Sending this joke.
The unholy marriage of the Futurama transport tubes and that water park ride Tom Cruise went on in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Arbitrary movie and TV reference.
We're done.
All hope of catching the snake seems lost until they turn around 12 feet from their random water pipe exit and meet 2 mountain goats sent by God to fill them in on all the information they need to understand the evidence they just found.
Narration.
Also, this is all shit that actual detectives could have deduced from the stupid matchbox and the fanny pack they just found.
What? How would they have immediately put together that there's a lodging on top of this very mountain that they just happened to be next to? What kind of leap in logic is that to jump to?
Zootopia is showing kids that climbing a sheer rock face is as easy as finding two harnesses and yanking yourself upwards in defiance of gravity.
Except those ropes were specifically put there for reptiles to climb this mountain, and Jeremy once again doesn't understand cartoon physics.
I must have been feeling generous in the last movie because I never mentioned how f***ing dumb this carrot is. As it happens, the passage of time has not been kind to my demeanor, and I have had 9 years to stew on this overtly versatile vegetable.
So Jeremy goes on a 52-second rant here talking about the features of the carrot recorder pen and brings up the fact that he got one himself and it doesn't have the features that the one in the movie has, and then he gives the movie 5 sins for it. But since that's not a sin for the movie and rather a sin for the product itself, I'll spare you guys those seconds and ding the ding.
Symbolism!
Sinning symbolism.
Also, most of these headlines say the same thing and are only superficially informative, making this more akin to a Pinterest board than a trail of actionable leads.
The same guy who sinned this movie for making a "What Does the Fox Say" joke in 2025 is referencing Pinterest in 2026.
The world will never be a better place if no one is brave enough to do the right thing.
The world is what it is, Carrots.
Now we have a battle between idealism and realism that is being treated as the central tension of this relationship. Trouble is that the story hasn't done much work to make this rift believable. It's not like they've been pulling in different directions for most of the movie. For the most part, they've worked together and broken all the rules together.
What movie are you sinning again? I thought this was about Zootopia too, but the thing you're talking about doesn't make sense with this movie at all. The movie isn't saying Nick subscribes to the idea of realism. He's simply saying this because he doesn't want Judy to die for this case, which is something he literally says right after this. The central tension in their relationship is that Nick doesn't know how to express himself and Judy's overcompensating for his small stature. And no, they haven't been working together for most of the movie. You seem to have missed all the scenes where Judy is all in on this case, while Nick has been constantly trying to convince her to stop so they can hide out and wait for all this to blow over.
Symbolism too, the fracturing!
Sinning symbolism.
The choice of this officer to tranquilize Judy while she's balancing on a plank, resulting in an almost guaranteed fall to her death, is an example of ignorance or neglect that the movie seems unwilling to wrestle with.
You just demonstrated ignorance and neglect 2 sins ago. And I'm sure this cop was just making a snap judgment decision and didn't think it through because this is a stressful situation.
Don't worry about my fang. I got my own anti-venom pen.
Where exactly has he been storing that?
Hammerspace.
Luckily, they make Paul Bert work in the mailroom, so he read it first.
Zootopia is a world with computers and cell phones, so why do the Linksleys need an entire mailroom? How much physical mail is this family realistically receiving?
We live in a similar world, but there are plenty of mansions that still have mailrooms.
I know coming with us was hard.
It was not. It was entirely out of her paws. Before she had a chance to choose between you and the crumbling house around her, she was darted into unconsciousness, which led to you bunny napping her.
No, smartass. He wasn't referring to that. He meant Judy having to leave Nick behind, which was hard for her for sure.
He plotted to steal her plans for himself.
I'm confused how Linksley managed to forge a new patent. This makes it look like he just drew up a new one and stamped it himself. Agnes filed this with the patent office. Why didn't she go back to them and lose her shit? Sure, Linkley could have bribed himself through the entire situation, but damn it, show us that corruption so the kids can be prepared for real life.
No, we're not going to ignore that you answered your own question. And is that really necessary to see? Couldn't we still infer that from context clues?
So he committed a murder.
Did he also invent this weapon, or did this oddly specific snake-framing poison taser just exist already?
Who cares?
That's Beeve 101.
The course my college girlfriend invited everyone to audit somehow makes it into the script.
The same guy who sent this movie for making a "What Does the Fox Say" joke in 2025 is still making college girl.
I do not think we can get to Judy in time to help.
Stopping outside the prison you just escaped from instead of continuing to escape.
Because now they don't have a fast way to get to Judy?
Hilarious that the sloth loves to drive fast, but driving fast, I hear, requires fast reflexes that rather ruin the joke.
Sending flash 100-yard dash for any reason whatsoever. Yep, that's worth a few extra.
We are with you, Judy Hopps.
Why? Sure, the Zebras pissed you off at the gala, but according to all the evidence, Judy tried to kill the police chief and stole a priceless cultural artifact.
Maybe she thinks it's bullcrap and believes Judy was framed. Maybe she still trusts him after they exposed Bellwether in the first movie. Or maybe she just wants revenge on the Zebras.
I know what they're doing. They'll ruin us.
This one exclamation suggests that Ebenezer Linksley passed down the fact that he switched the patent and the original patent is at Agnes's house. And he also passed down the fact that the OG patent can be found by turning on a clock tower that he turned off. So why the f have none of the Linksleys gone to the fucking house and destroyed the patent themselves? And if they don't know the patent is there, how does this Linkley know he's about to be ruined?
I'm fairly certain Milton just figured out that the clock tower turning on can ruin him all on his own. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Also, this place has been around for 100 years, and no one has figured out that they switched Agnes's patent, so they most likely just got too overconfident thinking that it will never be discovered at any point. We're talking about villains here, and overconfidence is often their weakness, as Luke Skywalker said once.
Last case, there was kind of a twist.
Movie was eager to twist again like it did last Zootopia, without explaining why Paulbert actually risked his life to save Judy earlier. She eventually helps them locate the patent, but he didn't know for sure she could do that. Certainly not with the kind of certainty you risk your life over.
The movie showed Gary telling Paulbert that she believed them, which implies Gary was the one that told him to go back and rescue her so she could help them, and Paulbert went along with this so he wouldn't blow his cover. How do I know this? No, I just watched the movie. You should try that sometime.
You chose to help me and became my best warm-blooded friend.
His only other warm-blooded friend just betrayed him and doomed his family. So that's not quite the endorsement you might think.
Even if Paulbert was a decent guy, Judy was generally a lot more enthusiastic about helping him than Paulbert was.
Permission to hug.
Ke Huy Quan isn't asking me for a heartfelt hug in this scene.
Not only did you mispronounce Ke Huy Quan's name, you also misspelled it.
It's not worth dying for.
Nick's words from earlier are spoken back to him, and he decides Judy is worth dying for. I was over here worried that this movie wouldn't teach the kiddos about mortal self-sacrifice.
Oh, so you did hear Nick say that. Then that earlier sin where he misunderstood their relationship is extra sinful.
I care about you.
Skipping this scene.
No one else in the world matters to me more than you do either.
I question the depth of their relationship as presented in these two movies. I think it's fair to assume the events of the first movie, post Judy joining the Force, take place over the course of a week. I think it's more like 3 days, but let's be generous. I think it's also safe to assume that Zootopia, clearly being based on a human city, would have a police academy program lasting a similar amount of time, which would be 6 months. We learned earlier in the movie that this is their 1 week anniversary of being partners, meaning at most they have known each other for a little over 6 months, and Nick would have spent the vast majority of that time at the academy. Now, can a relationship develop this fast? Yes, but me thinks there's a good deal of Disney doing Disney shit to make these people more important to each other than they realistically would be.
You said all of that and somehow didn't make any sort of good point. If you admit that relationships can develop this fast and you're trying to claim that these movies rushed it, then you need to explain that. How does it feel fast? You should have spent more time on that instead of focusing on the timeline, because you just wasted our time with trivial knowledge that doesn't matter.
Takes a threesome to be something, but a 4-way to bust your doorway.
Jesus Christ, this is a kid's movie.
Get your head out of the gutters. And again, no, it's not. I mean, this movie has a huge reference to The Shining, a movie that came out almost 50 years ago. Do you think children would get that reference?
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Misquoting Shrek.
An arbitrary reference to a movie that was doing an arbitrary reference to another movie. That's a new one.
Your reward for staying until the very end of the credits? This singular feather.
Your reward for sitting through this overly long video? Jeremy pointing a thing out on the screen. Screw your fussing, you big man baby. Go back to the Adam Sandler movie set.
Awesome.